You know the smell of rain that just comes in and rolls in just as it starts doing it. It's a very earthy smell. Minerals roll up off the ground and you don't even know what they are. But we've all walked through a rainstorm and had that smell that happens right after. I love that smell. Or maybe you walked past a bog and got a completely different kind of smell. Heavier, sulfur, almost rotting. You mow the lawn and suddenly you get hit with this sharp green smell that you know it means summer. Don't you love the smell of fresh mowed grass? But these totally different smells. And when you investigate what they are, I didn't know what I was going to expect when I started researching them. But my friend and I were out at a marsh, and there's a small river that goes across it. And we're like, wow, what kind of smell is that? And so that's why I decided to start doing research about what kinds of smells out there. Because smells are created by molecules. And some of them, the rainstorms, the bogs, or that might have some of the same molecules, but we'll sort of take these apart one small molecule at a time. So let's start with the first one, the big one. When you hear the rain hitting the ground and you get that smell of rain hitting dry ground, it has a name, and it's called Petrichor. The Australian scientists coined it back in 1964, and it's a Greek word for stone. And the fluid that basically is supposed to run in the veins of the gods. So it's kind of a very Greek mythological term. But the idea is that for decades, nobody actually knew what caused that smell to happen. And around 2015, MIT researchers filmed in high-speed camera what looked like tiny, it looked like physics, I guess, what to say, when a raindrop hits a porous surface. Let's think of soil or brick or a pocket of air trapped under there, the bubble itself, and it rises up, almost like when you're dropping a drip in a glass of milk that you've seen, or a bubble inside of a champagne when it pops, right? There's a fine mist aerosol that goes straight up into the air whenever that happens. And a single raindrop can throw hundreds of these tiny aerosol droplets skyward. And each one of them carries what was sitting in the soil. It might be plant oils, bacterial spores. It might be specific, whatever the bits of the ground that was there right there. But whatever the specific compound is doing, the biggest effort is what you're going to start to smell. And that compound on the ground is what they call geosmin. And your nose is very good at detecting it. You can smell it, like I said, when it's at 5 parts per trillion. And for comparison, if you think about the sensitivity a shark has of smelling blood in the ocean, it's about the same as that. We are built to be able to smell that particular scent. And it comes from a group of bacteria that's in the soil. It's the same kind of bacteria that's responsible for some of the antibiotics that we make. But when it releases this particle from the rain hitting the ground, it's just normal soil. It's just sitting there, and a good rain launches it into the air with everything else. And so the reason that a light rain smells stronger than a downpour, because the gentle drops hit that trapped area, releases those bubbles efficiently, while a hard rain might just pound it in too quickly, too rapidly for the smell to get out. So the best type of smell that you're going to get is when it's a slow, soaking rain after a particularly dry stretch of period, not so much a storm. But one more layer of it is that if you ever smelled almost a sharp, maybe metallic scent minutes before the rain even started, that's not petrichor at all. That's what you call ozone. And ozone is created when lightning splits oxygen molecules in the air, and that air gets pushed ahead of the storm by the wind. So you might be smelling some of that from a storm that is not yet to you, but it's coming to you soon. So then the next question, what about bog smells? And this is one of the most interesting because it's a little bit the opposite of the rainstorm. So instead of when you have regularly healthy soil that has oxygen moving through it, which is exactly the kind of condition we have in our backyards, right? Having this bacteria. The bog is almost a complete opposite. Bogs are waterlogged. The water sits still. The oxygen can't mix in from the air at all. And so the ground becomes what is considered to be anaerobic, meaning oxygen starved. And when the normal oxygen using bacteria can't survive down there, it's a different set of bacteria that starts taking over. Sulfate reducing bacteria, and their waste product smells like hydrogen sulfide, which is a compound that you would see between, like with rotten egg smell that you have. So a bog isn't people think of it as maybe dirtier or rotting, that kind of thing. It's not anything like that compared to the regular soil. It just has a completely different set of chemical processes because the oxygen simply isn't there in the same way it is maybe in your backyard. And so bogs specifically hold on to that smell longer than maybe most typical swamps. Because the sphagnum moss, this is a moss that dominates true bog areas. The sphagnum actually releases minerals out of the water and then releases acid in exchange, which makes the bog water highly acidic. That acidity, see, I'm going to say that, but combines with no oxygen at all. The slow decomposition then goes down to a crawl. And what actually is happening in the bog is that's why they're famous for preserving things, including, the battle scenes that people have talked about where they have gone in and found preserved battle scenes in bogs. And the smell is a byproduct of the environment that is chemically built to let basically anything at all break it down because it doesn't have the replacement. Like our backyard, we get soil, some of it blows away, some of it we get more of. But this is particularly there trying to maintain its environment and not break down things. So then we get to the most smells that people would call their favorite. Cut grass is one of them. And it turns out that it isn't decomposition at all. It's an alarm system. So when a blade of grass gets cut or crushed or chewed on, it releases a compound called green leaf volatiles. And within seconds of the damage happening, science have found that these compounds are there to warn other nearby plants that something's attacking me. And it can suppress bacteria and pathogens on the wound itself. And so the plants itself are even attracting natural predators, whatever insect is eating it. So there's research on corn specifically, what they did it. And when it's getting chewed on by a caterpillar, these volatiles will attract predatory wasps to come and show up and deal with the caterpillars. So it's an alarm system for the actual plant itself. And now you kind of look at mowing your back lawn a little bit differently, right? So that smell that you love on a summer afternoon is actually the grass point of view telling its other grass neighbors calling for help. And we just happen to be wired for some reason to enjoy that. Some researchers thought it's because it's the same family of compounds that show up when fruit ripens and vegetables get cut. And so our brain is wired to think, oh, food, there's food coming our way. So we tend to like that smell. But if we move as towards fall instead of summertime, we start getting that leaf litter. It starts piling up in the yard as the fall leaves start to fall down. And what you get back is that geosmin smell again. It's the same kind of bacteria that made the rain smell earthy is going now to work and trying to break down that leaf litter, trying to produce that same type of soil smell. It's just from a different source. So before it was rain, but now it's the actual woods bacteria breaking things down. And so when you walk through the woods in September, the smell can almost be identical in the ground right after a summer rain shower. Some bacteria, same molecules, but just a different season and just a different reason for why it's happening. So these smells are different stories that we have. Some of them are bacteria running with oxygen, and some of them are bacteria running without oxygen. And some of it is actually the plant giving out a warning, trying to call in reserves for help. And when they trace back, I guess, when you think of it, tracing back to these tiny bacterial molecules doing this work, whether it's raining, decomposing, or sitting on healthy soil, just waiting for you to notice. It's pretty incredible how we get these sensations of smells that are out there. And like I said, the mowed grass one, I think, was the most alarming as I was doing research about it, but we do love the smell of grass. I appreciate you being out there. Do you have a seasonal smell outside that you love the most? Is it the fall leaves? Is it mowed grass? Love to hear about it. You can put a comment in my channel if you're watching this on video, or you can email me at northwoodsjill@fastmail.com. Love to hear from you, and have a great day.